Hi there, in this screencast I'm going to show you how to make a game state variable to control the flow of the game so that you can have a startup mode, a running mode, and a finished mode with specific directions and to the user as well as different things going on the screen. Okay, depending on what the mode of the game is in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the My World class. So we're going to make a variable that we want to be able to access from other classes. So in object-oriented programming, you have different classes, and there are some times where there are variables that pretty much the value of it needs to be one value, and other classes need to access that value to do their thing when the game is running. So we're going to make an instance, what's called an instance variable, that we're going to write methods so that other its value can be accessed and changed from other classes. So I'm going to say private string, and then I'll call it game state. All right, so now I have a game state variable, and then in the constructor I'm going to say game state equals startup. So that gets executed when the game starts running, and I say game state equals startup. Okay, so now before I change the act method, let's write the methods that you're going to need to call from other classes to access the value of game state. So in XNA, we're only writing everything in one class, so it didn't matter where you were, and in that class you could access the game state variable. But since we need to access it from other methods or from other classes, we're going to write methods that let us access it and modify it. So, and these are called getter and setter methods. So the getter method allows the value of the variable to be accessed from within other classes. So I'm going to say public string get game state. So that's the method header. It's going to return a string value, and I have a single line of code that says return game state. Now I'm going to write another method that's going to allow other classes to modify the value of game state, and this is called a setter method because you're setting the value of the variable. So it's a void method because it does something, it doesn't produce something, and it's going to have a single parameter called a string value called game state value. And then I'm going to say in the code, I'm going to say game state, now that's my actual variable, is equal to game state value, which is the parameter that I will supply an argument for when I call the method. So over in another class, I want to change the game state variable. I'll say, my world dot or get world dot get game state or get world dot set game state, and then I'll put parentheses, finished or running or something along those lines. Okay, so now now that I have the game state variable, I'm going to do what I did in my Greenfoot or my XNA games. In the act method of my world, I'm going to say if game state dot equals and then startup, then I do one set of things. Else, if game state dot equals running, then I do another different set of things. And then else, the else situation is when the game state is finished. I could just say else if game state equals or dot equals finished, but basically I'm only going to have one of three choices, so if it's not the first two, it's got to be the second one. Okay, so that means the code that I have to add the pterodactyls, by the way, I do realize that I've misspelled pterodactyl. I'm going to try to fix that. in case anyone was interested. Um, well, with the code that generates the pterodactyls, I'm only going to put in where the game is in running mode. So let's see. Alright, so it's only going to generate those and move them across the screen when the game is running, not in the beginning. Okay, so any thoughts? I'm guessing, well, since I can't hear you answer, I'm just going to tell you. So what we might do in game state equals startup is one of the key things we do is check to have the user press the S key to have the game start. So I'm going to say if Greenfoot dot is key down, and I'm going to put an S, then game state dot equals running. Okay, so now the game shouldn't actually start until the user presses S. So let's give it a shot, see if it's going to work. So I'm going to do run. Nothing happens. Let me do S. And nothing is happening. So let's see if I can. Oh no, there we go. I didn't really click run. Okay, so it's running, no pterodactyls. Now I'm going to press S, and then I have pterodactyls. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to change is I'm going to go into the dinosaur class, and I'm going to only let him move the dinosaur when the game is running. So I'm going to go into the act method, and I'm going to, for act, I'm going to put if get world dot get game state dot equals running, then I do all of, let's see, this stuff. Now I want to draw the dinosaur no matter what, so I keep that if dinosaur heading equals north for drawing him. I keep that out of my if statement. So, oh, you know what? I think I need to add one little thing here. And I'm not going to explain why, but do I have one extra set of parentheses? Oh, okay. I think I need. You know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to. We're going to use this some in other portions of this code. So at the top of the act method, I want you to say world, my world equals, and then my world in parentheses, and then get world. All right, and now I'm going to say if world dot get game state dot equals running. There we go. Okay, so now anytime I need to call any of the methods in the world, my world class, I can just say if world.gameState. So get world is the world that the dinosaur lives in, and basically this parentheses my world has to do with a little more sophisticated topic regarding data types in Java. So just for now, don't worry about knowing that. Just add this line of code, and then wherever you want to access any of the world class methods or the methods that you write in my world, you can just say world. All right, so let me correct my indentation, which is now off. Everything needs tabbed in one here. Okay. Almost done. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Oh yeah, this goes in there too. That's where I'm changing the animation count variables when the game is running. All right. So this would be in one, and then good. So basically now the animation sequence and changing his location, my dinosaur, is only going to happen when the game state is set to be running, not in startup mode. So let's see if this works. So now I'm going to click run, and now I'm going to hit the arrow keys to move him. Nothing happens at all. Then I'm going to hit the S key, and now everything is going. He can move him. The pterodactyls start flying at him.